ready? You got your speaker.
We're ready if you say we're ready, Madam Chairperson.
I'll make sure they got their appropriate technology happening. All right. I will call to order the regular meeting of the Police Commission today, Monday, August 14th, 2023 at 5:05 p.m. Let us start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't want to say amen.
Oh, thank you. Do you mind if we all stand just for a moment? It's like too heavy, sorry. A moment of silence to remember retired Chief Peter N. Ingridson for his almost 18 years of service to this department and community as Chief of Police, to his 48 years of service in law enforcement, to his many years of friendship. Thank you.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
40 or 48 years?
48 years.
It's 18 years.
Yeah, so he did almost 30 years with Farmington.
Okay. Little bit in Suffield?
13 months in Suffield, and then almost 18 years.
Almost went back. I feel like a quitter after 27.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing career, right?
Yeah. Yes, it was. Yeah. I can announce the service arrangements now if you'd like, or I can do that later.
Flip to it.
Okay. So for those who would like to attend his services, his wake is this Thursday, August 17th, at Ahern Funeral Home at 111 Main Street in Unionville from 3 to 7. The funeral is this Friday, August 18th, at West Avon Congregational Church at 280 Country Club Road in Avon. That starts at 10 a.m. again this Friday. His burial will immediately follow at Greenwood Cemetery, which is at 640 Lovely Street in Avon. Immediately after that, there'll be a reception at the Farmington Club, basically starting at noon time. And that's located at 162 Town Farm Road in Farmington. Everybody's welcome to attend any or all of those.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, back to our regularly scheduled business. Next on our agenda is the correspondence. Commissioner Schweizer, if you would be so kind as to read our correspondence.
I will. Summary of letters, August 14th, 2023, received from residents regarding Officer Newton. Subject: the residents wanted to thank Officer Newton for his assistance when they called for service. They are extremely grateful for such a professional and knowledgeable officer who was caring for one of the residents during a medical emergency. Due to Officer Newton's quick response and EMS getting him to the hospital rapidly, the resident is now at home recovering. Next, received from Windsor Locks Police Commission regarding Sergeant Dunn. Subject: the Commission wanted to extend their gratitude to Sergeant Dunn for helping guide Sergeant Barry and the Windsor Locks Police Department through Phase 1 of the state accreditation process. Quote, the subject may not have been possible without the invaluable guidance she provided, unquote. Sergeant Dunn's assistant is a tribute to the character and honorable service to the profession and the Simsbury Police Department. Last, received from residents regarding Officer Kenny. Subject: this individual had an accident while on their bike. They wanted to thank Officer Kenny for helping relay his information to EMS responders and assuring that his bike would be brought back to the police station for safekeeping while he was receiving care. Quote, the officers were wonderful and I'm very appreciative, unquote. End of letters.
Thank you. Next is the approval of the minutes from the June 12th, 2023 regular meeting.
I have a question, or do I have to wait for questions? Okay, so on the second page, I'm not sure if that was a typo or,
What is it?
Which paragraph?
so like with, not really a typo, but like a mistake someone made. With, Timothy May and Timothy Russell, are they two different people?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Never mind that. I was just confused.
Okay. Yes. Tim May is the detective
Mm-hmm.
that was promoted to sergeant, and Tim Russell, was an officer who was like a training officer and did a bunch of other things, but was not a detective that was promoted to sergeant. There were two sergeant positions. Any other questions, concerns, clarifications? All right, then do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion, questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now on to our reports, starting with the chairperson. My report is very short because we haven't had a lot going on right now. We had the swearing in of Sergeant May, which Travis spoke on behalf of the commission, so thank you very much. I missed that, I understand you did a fantastic job. We also had the swearing in of Officer Russell, which was very nice, I was there. It's a nice time. And then the chief, Commissioner Long, and I met with the town manager regarding the staffing survey. And the Board of Selectmen was supposed to be there. Unfortunately, First Selectman Maxudis was out of town, and so she knew she wasn't gonna be there, and Selectman Askham was not there either, so that was that. And that concludes my report as well. So turning it over to the chief's report.
Okay, thank you. Just really brief comments on the summary of letters. Officer Newton is now in his 24th year of service here with this department. Sergeant Dunn, this is nothing new. This complimenting here, she has been going to other agencies throughout the state to help with their accreditation process, both the state accreditation and the CLEAR accreditation for probably 10 plus years. So she was involved in our first accreditation process about 2 years in, around 2010, 2009 actually. And she has been a tremendous resource throughout the state for departments going through the accreditation process. And then lastly, but not least, Officer Kenny. Fantastic job there. More to come from him, another 25, 30 plus years from him. Moving right into my report, he successfully completed his field training report, and he is out on solo status by himself, doing some fantastic work. We're very proud of him. Our sworn staffing numbers are looking better than they have in probably 2+ years anyways, with the return of 2 sergeants from extended leave, and then adding these 2 new officers, most recently, Jeremiah Kenny and Christopher Sheehan, to a solo status on patrol. So we currently still have 2 officers who are out on extended leave, and we have 3 sworn officer vacancies to fill. 2 of those vacancies were left over from last fiscal year, and as you recall, we had 1 officer who decided to leave in February, so one of those vacancies was from that. We're currently in the hiring and selection process. We feel pretty good about where we are with that process. Just want to let anybody out there know that if you are interested in a position with us as a police officer, you can contact Lieutenant Matt Christian. He can answer whatever questions you may have, direct you to who can be of some assistance. He is at 658-3107. Or if you visit the Connecticut Police Chiefs Association website, the CPCA website, for testing and application information, you'll see the Simsbury Police Department there, and it walks you through how to apply and when the testing dates are for that process. As far as recent and upcoming events, we hosted story time here at the Police Department on July 18th. We had an estimated 100 attendees out front. It created a lot of opportunities to meet and greet with some very young kids. It's ages 1 to 6, but there were mostly ages 1 and 2 there. There were photo opportunities and a time to answer questions from both the kids and from the parents and the caregivers.
I saw some photos She looked
You
very,
did?
very good and official reading your book.
Excellent, excellent, yeah. Thank you to Miss Stephanie of the Simsbury Library for coordinating that event, and that's not the first time that we've done that. Just to sort of go back a few years, I came across some pictures of Chief Ingridson involved in that program at the library. In fact, he had a puppet in his hand with telling a story. The cadets attended a week-long academy, the Nerlia Academy at Westfield State University, which is what we have done for many years. That was in July. They were accompanied full-time by two of our SROs, Officer Cushman and Bertel, and then daytime visits from Officer Mike Lantieri, who has been filling in as a school resource officer when our regularly assigned SROs are not available. Officer Jamie Ball in Clifton, and Deputy Chief Davis and I were also there. The Junior Police Academy was held in August and was again another big success. Our department members worked hard to provide this great program to our youth, and a special thanks goes out to the fire department and the ambulance services for their active involvement during the week, and they've been involved in this as far as I can remember. I think from the very beginning. I think we're on like year 19 with that program. One upcoming event that I wanted to remind people of is the senior picnic. It's Wednesday, September 6th, from noon until 2 p.m. at the Simsbury Farms Ice Rink. It's always a great time.
I want to see you dancing with seniors.
I'm not sure if I can do
Then you're really
I-
shoes.
I know I've made it. If you are a senior and would like to attend, please contact the Senior Center at 658-3273. And just to report on one trend that we have seen now for 3 or 4 years. Thought there was a dip last year that we were sort of excited about, but now it has gone the other way, and that's our stolen cars. Yeah, so we've had 26 stolen cars since January 1st of this year
Statewide,
Townwide.
in Simsbury.
26 in Simsbury.
26 in Simsbury. So for years and years in the past, the average would be anywhere from 4 to 6 or 7 cars annually.
That's why I asked the state question.
Yeah, so I don't know the number statewide, but it's not just Simsbury. It is statewide. But comparing this year to last year, which was a low for the last 2 years, we're at a 550% increase. So we had 4 last year from January to August, and now we have 26. I believe our top number was somewhere around 32 or so in 2021, 21. So we're doing as much as we can, both locally and regionally, to combat that. Our officers are out there putting mileage on the cars. They're out doing stops in where they can. They're in our neighborhoods. It's still happening.
Is the trend continuing to be unlocked cars?
Yes. Unlocked cars with keys or key fobs in the vehicles and available.
Cool.
I drove by a sign today in Mark Hampstead that said, at it in front of a church, trust in God, but lock your cars. And I was like, so it's,
Yeah.
but folks are still not.
Yeah, so we're still finding, and not just those people, but conversations that we have with people, we're still finding, them leaving cars unlocked, key fobs in their cars, houses unlocked when there's the option to lock our items. We should be taking as many precautions as we can.
Are the victims surprised?
Always surprised.
Like, are they shocked
Yeah.
that someone broke into their
Oh, yeah.
car, their unlocked, open car? Is that a surprise to people?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
I don't know.
Anecdotally.
I mean,
It's angrier than
I think, believe it or not, I believe people are. I mean, it's just, I think that they have that sense of nothing's gonna happen, nothing's gonna happen, at least to me, and then when it happens, then.
They're surprised.
Were any of these cars in garages, or were they all sitting parked on driveways?
I'm not sure. I think there may have been one of those 26 that was in an open garage, but I'm not sure.
And how about recovery of these vehicles? Are they gone for good, or we recover most of them?
Almost all of them are recovered within a short amount of time in surrounding communities. mostly in Hartford, New Britain, Waterbury, in years past Springfield, got a few in New Haven, the Bridgeport area, one in New York City. Most all of them are recovered.
And the vehicles are used for follow-on crimes
They
or
are.
joyrides or both or all of the above?
We think mostly for crimes.
Yeah.
When we find them, are they usually undamaged or damaged?
They're damaged. A varying degree, but
Yeah,
they are damaged.
And we're recovering a lot too from other towns. A lot of times they'll dump them here and take other ones. We're going on the way up here, they're trying to trap them.
Well, it's not a
Stolen
gas.
somewhere else and.
Yeah.
It's running out of gas, you gotta get something else.
Exactly.
They often will leave a stolen vehicle when they find a new one to drive around in. Just an update on the two grants that we have applied for. One was the congressionally directed spending request, and that was for the upgrade in our emergency medical dispatch system from a card system to a digital system. And then also security enhancement throughout the entire building here. We have not heard yet from them. Second situation with the cops grant. We have not heard from them yet. I'm not surprised by either one based on what we have heard in years past. It just often takes a bit of time, but I will let you know as soon as we hear from either of them. And just a reminder on the cops grant, that was to support funding up to $42,000 each year for 3 years for a police officer. Just one quick budget item for this year that we're in now. We have chosen a scheduling software. Just to give you a brief summary on how that process went, we looked for software out there that met our needs, and our needs were determined by an internal group consisting of sergeants and administrative staff and Jen Wellington. And then we looked at 3 of them, and then we had a bunch of questions that were asked, and we narrowed it down to 2. And then we had police departments come in who use those systems and talk to us about their experience and what they think of those. And then we had the actual companies come in and give us their sales pitch on why. In that group that was reviewing those was a cross selection from our department, as well as a member of our finance department, because it does talk with our finance software. So we have chosen one, and we are in the very infant stages of setting that up. It is a lengthy process that is anticipated to take at least 4 to 6 weeks. So we're looking at potentially in October start time for that. We are very excited about getting that moving. And that's all I have for my report.
Can you tell us a little bit about the break-in at the schoolhouse, way there? Break into an unoccupied house?
Yes, so one of the typical methods that people use to enter a home is to ring the doorbell. And if somebody answers, then they will come up with something, looking for so-and-so or selling something, whatever it may be. If nobody answers, they will often then take a walk around the house and try a back door and see if somebody is there, or try that. In this particular case, I don't know if they tried a second door, but after the doorbell was not answered, they made their way into the home.
I don't answer my doorbell ever. That is a terrifying thought.
So lock your doors. It just makes sense to do that, especially if it's not readily accessible for you to get to where a door may be open. One resident in the house happened to hear some noise and came downstairs, and the person or persons inside fled. And through descriptions by both that caller, relative, people in the area, and a very well strategic placed officer en route there, saw a vehicle that matched the description. And at that point, other officers were responding to that area. He received a good plate on that vehicle, and before we were able to sort of come together as a group, the vehicle took off. And was very quickly located, or a short time later located by a very observant Canton officer. So our information had gone out over the radio to the surrounding communities that this had just happened and this is what we were looking for a vehicle. And he happened to be in the area and checked the right street and found the vehicle, found some activity that linked them to this particular crime, and he was able to apprehend one of the three that were at that car at that time. Our investigation continues in hopes of finding the other two people who were a part of this.
What about, there was a newspaper, television, or somebody talking about a South American ring of crooks? Is there any connection there, or?
Well, so I'll let the deputy chief pick that one up, but it's often very difficult to confirm that, but from what we have seen in previous burglaries in other towns and connections to different parts of the world, it looks like this may sort of fit that mold.
Was the resident of the house of the same nationality?
No.
And we'll be working with local and state, federal authorities to try and determine whether or not it's related to any other activities in other jurisdictions. Right now, it could be related, but again, we have to work with other agencies to try and vet that through.
I happened to be in the area at the time when that, and I would just want to relay the very impressive response and action by the Simsbury officers, the Canton officers, and the Avon officers. And then we had some support with the fire department in Canton with their drone. They immediately came out and helped to search the area.
Thank you.
Start answering the door. Jeez.
I did attend the junior police academy graduation.
Yeah.
Well, as a father and a commissioner, it was very well done. Very nice. Again, it's the second time that my daughter's attended that, so it was fun. So she enjoyed it. Read a lot of great things to say about the program.
Glad to hear that, thank you.
Okay, if there's no other questions, we'll move on to the consolidated monthly report and the preliminary activity report. Reports, because there's 2 months in here. So I noticed the larcenies were very much up in May, and I'm assuming that's car break-ins that you were telling us. No?
Not necessarily, no, it's kind of a,
Break-ins mostly, but not, that's.
yeah, it's kind of a variety of things, nothing that checks, there was like one catalytic converter, license plates, some shopliftings, I mean, nothing, no patterns of things.
Gotcha, okay. And our intrusion alarms are way up. Is that false alarms or it was a lot.
Vacation.
Okay, gotcha.
What exactly is a part 1 offense versus a part 2 offense?
So those are your more serious cases, homicide, rape, robbery, burglaries, whereas arsons, whereas part 2 are like disorderly conducts, like DUIs, things that are not as severe. Usually, I mean, not specifically, but mostly felony cases would be your part 1s.
It's the group right above that,
Yeah.
where it says, on there where it says arrests,
Mhm.
adult, that list right above that where it says criminal activity, those are the part 1.
Okay.
Either, what page are we on?
First page.
Page 1 of either of the consolidated monthly reports.
Okay.
Right here.
In the middle of that versus. Gotcha, okay, thank you. Cool. Verbal warnings are way down. It appears. We not made as many stops or
That is correct.
any particular reason for that?
No, but when you see June or July, I think it's July, you will see an increase from last year as well.
Good.
Okay, any questions on the preliminary monthly activity report?
Just as per normal here, anything trend jump out at you or anything that cause for alarm here?
Besides the
Motor vehicles?
besides the motor vehicle thefts, no.
What about the fraud? 84, that sounds like a lot, unless I have it, no. Was there more fraud?
So we've been seeing a trend with workers' comp.
Alright.
Frauds, it's going statewide, I mean, again, it's
Gotcha.
not just here, but, we're seeing a very large spike in those, regionally and.
Is that me pretending that I got injured on the job, or is that you pretending you
No.
were Jenna who was?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, people are getting notified, that somebody had filed a workers' comp
Okay.
claim or unemployment claim in their name, and, they never did, so.
Gotcha.
So if anybody receives that, like, let us know. Come to us right away. Call us, come in. We will assist with that. That's what's happening. is People are getting notified at home that they filed a claim and they're looking for some information or whatever they need.
Gotcha.
That happened to me a couple months ago with my son. He used my son's name to get it, to put in the unemployment claim. I'm like, he's deceased, so there's no way that he could have filed unemployment. So I came straight here. They were fast and everything, took care of everything, so.
Not cool. Any other questions? On any other reports? All right. Then I will move on to new business and the new dispatcher selection recommendation. Turn it over to the chief.
I will ask Bruce Catania to join us. We'll chair right up in the middle there.
Hello.
Have a seat. Okay, so today we have Bruce Catania joining us. Bruce has participated in our very thorough hiring and selection process for a police dispatcher, and he rose to the top. During that process, we saw a person with great communication skills, a desire to make a difference and to serve others. He brings service-based experience with him. He worked in individual and team environments, problem solving, and he has shown the ability to have significant responsibilities. He's enthusiastic and eager to be a part of law enforcement. This is Bruce Catania.
Hello again.
So I very unfairly start at the end and just let everyone work their way towards me, for no other reason than this convenience. So hi, Tanisha.
We did, we started with me last time. I remember I was sitting over there.
Oh, all right, fine. Hi, Eric.
How old are you, Bruce?
30.
So what's your driving force to get into law enforcement?
Well, the last name was very familiar.
Right.
I was part of this department for 25 years, I want to say, and then he gone to Plainville and became chief there. And even before that, my grandfather, Charles Catania, who was chief in Rocky Hill. And policing, military has been through our family for ever since I, was young. My father, his father, and his wife came over from Italy right when they were 19, 20 together, about $100 in their pocket, and dreams galore. And there's always just a respect for it, a knowing of it, and in a weird way, everybody knew every little detail about it. The long hours. Where's Dad? He's working. He'll be home whenever they tell him he can go home. And it kind of resonated with me through high school, and I went through the policing process as much as I could, and some injuries kept me from that. And my older sister, Alicia, is a police officer in Farmington. So she's, why don't you go do dispatching? I go, I don't know. She's like, everyone talks to you. Even when they don't know you very well, they talk to you, and you become this middleman that everybody talks to. Everybody asks you advice and kind of goes through it. And says, I'll give it a shot. And started taking the tests, and things just became normal and natural. Let me try my hand at it. So for about 2 years, I've been trying, and Simsbury said, well, we think you're the guy. And I go, I hope I'm the guy. I'm trying to jump at it. And here we are.
Any aspirations to be a police officer?
Maybe down the line, but for right now, I can see my whole career being a dispatch. And I like being part, in a way, the chaos that comes with it, but also the reward that comes with it, making sure people go home safely, everyone has a good time, work becomes easier. It's kind of where I got a lot of my experience through was chaos. I mean, working in food environments, working with, hundreds of people asking you for different orders to go around. I worked in Massachusetts for about a year and 8 months, mainly Boston, so I saw a lot through Boston. Chaos was part of the job, and it just became normal. So for me, seeing how hectic it can be as an officer and dispatcher, it seems normal to me now. That just kind of flows.
So if I can piggyback on that question.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Skipping
you,
the line.
so you studied criminal justice at UNH?
Yes, sir.
And then from there, kind of continued your food service piece. Did you want to get into law enforcement at that point, or what held you back?
So for a couple years, I was finishing up, bills to be paid for college and simple things like that. And I already had a couple part-time jobs. So while I was looking forward to starting it, other buddies said, listen, you got a couple months till they decide to look for you. Why don't you come work full-time at Westside Market in Rocky Hill? And that's where I kind of started there. Took a couple more years, got back in shape, just kind of got myself ready. And I ended up getting laid off in 2020, like January 9th. And then the world shut down. So as I was getting ready to do it, I think at that point, the policing process had also shut down. So getting ready for it kind of stalled me a little bit, got ready to go again. A couple of injuries just said, maybe your knees aren't as good as you thought, so rehab through there, got it again. And at that point, I just had a long talk of, can I still do it? Can I go for it? And then my sister, and now her wife, who's also a sergeant in Rocky Hill, just said, just do it. Do it or do dispatching. And she's like, even if you don't want to be a full police officer, she's like, your whole heart is in law enforcement, whether it's dispatching, working with officers afterward. She's like, your heart is around the system itself. I kind of took that to heart, and from there, did about 2 years of applying and redirection, and just feels normal. It feels normal to do kind of this angle of work.
Terrific.
I want to jump on Travis's question.
All right.
So, what experiences that either your previous employers or current one, that those skills translate into being a great dispatcher?
So definitely something I learned, especially when it came to working in Mass for even that short amount of time compared to where I worked else, was chaos and talking to people in a weird way. We worked for Genuine Foods, which deals with private food basically. So we deliver out to private schools, charter schools, some main ones, all around Boston, Lowell, Everett, all over Franklin, Brockton. So long hauling out, talking to new customers, making deals, making sure everybody, gets the food on time. So that, in a way, that translated to, you always have to know who you're talking with, how to get a deal done, how to make a last-second adjustment. At one point, they had me working in one of their schools. One of our chefs, Andy, unfortunately, got hit by a car on his way home from work as he was walking, so he was out of commission for about 11 months. They said, you're gonna go work in school. I said, I don't really know how to cook that much, there, I'm a maker. He goes, well, you're gonna learn how to cook. I said, okay. So we went through there, and some of those turned into, hey, listen, I know you've been working for 11, 12 hours, we gotta go deliver that fridge back to that school you were just at. Great, with what truck? Your truck. And I said, yeah, all right, we'll go do that. And yeah, it pops up kind of how it goes in policing and law enforcement. There's always something. It might be an easy day for 7 hours, and your last hour is going to be absolute chaos. Then you go home, and you go do it again, and it keeps you guessing. It's good to have a day where it's, nothing is ever set in stone. And for us, that was definitely true. One day I'm cooking in where we worked in our commissary, the next day I'm feeding 300 kids that I probably won't see again for another 3 or 4 weeks, hopefully. It's just back and forth all the way through it.
Thank you.
You touched on overtime. We will be fully staffed for dispatch, but there's still gonna be overtime even when we're fully
Okay.
staffed. So how do you feel about overtime? I know that sometimes it's a balance of life, work, what are your thoughts about mandatory, sometimes you just
Got a
gotta
couple
work.
questions about that. In all honesty, right now where I'm at in my life, single, I have no kids, work is work. If you stay 4 hours, 8 hours, I've had a couple 20-hour shifts up there. It doesn't bother me. It has to get done. If things come up, they come up. The job has to get done. People have to go home. You have to go see your family. And for that day, like I said, most days, some days you walk into your job and go, it's gonna be a rough one. And some days you go, that was an easy 12 hours. And you don't think about it. For me, that's kind of the same way. Work is work. You do the best you absolutely can at it, and if it ends up being 15, 16 hours, well, that's a longer day than you want, but it's a day.
Do you live locally? I know you were working in, oh my God, it's not Massachusetts somewhere.
I'm still in Weathersfield, so
Okay, so
about
you're-
25 minutes really from here.
Do you have any questions, Commissioner Wall?
I was gonna ask one question, but you already answered that. And that is, do you have any relatives that ever lived in Rocky Hill?
Rocky Hill, let's see, quite a few. So Charles was there for his whole life, about 65 years. And then that's after when they were younger. Robert was there as well. That would be his nephew, so our second cousin. He was in Rocky Hill PD over 20 years. And now he's on the CCSU's branch of law enforcement.
I have no other questions.
That's okay. If you look at it, we are everywhere. We've had family reunions where I've had people from California who I've never met before and go, I remember you, and I go, that's great. When? But we're everywhere.
Any other questions?
Just one final question for you. I know your dad, met your dad. He kind of talked me out of applying to a small town when I first moved up here. Anyway, I just retired with 27 years on. Retired out of Hartford, and it was a great career. But well, I guess my question to you as a dispatcher, and I've known great dispatchers, and I've known horrible dispatchers. The great dispatchers are the ones that are the calming voice, that when all heck is breaking loose, are the ones that calm everybody else down. I've been on scenes where officers are yelling and screaming in the radio and getting shot at or whatever, and then the dispatcher is the calming voice, and that brings everybody down. Or when it's a chaotic scene and one of your guys is getting, because we all look at you like that. You call the shots, you tell us when we can go on break, you tell us where we can go, you tell us when we can leave and when we can't leave, when we can't go certain places. Because you see, you're all seeing, that's what I'm getting at. But do you think you can handle being that guy that has 7, 8 patrolmen, sergeant, boss, the whole department? You're telling them what to do, and if all the world falls, the sky collapses, you're the calming voice. You have to manage those resources and not panic, because if I hear you panic, then
Everyone else has
the
panic.
wheels have fallen off the cart. And the worst was hearing an officer getting shot at, and getting shot, and that dispatcher was as calm as it could be, and that kept us calm. Do you think you can do that?
You know, it's gonna sound very weird when it comes out, but to me it makes sense, and I think I can. I've gone through, it's kind of when you start any job, you kind of figure out in the first couple weeks to a month where you're at. And I know people will say it's always a learning experience, and you know, you go through the tide, and the same way was kind of with Jenny when I would travel, 700, 800 miles a week up there, and right as I walk in, there's chaos. Ovens don't work. This doesn't make any sense. We got no drivers. We have to get these out here in 30 minutes, and they're 45 minutes away. And in some odd way, I'm comfortable with chaos, because it's in its own way, it's calming. You have 1,000 problems, let's fix all the problems at once, because everybody else might be running through. And as far as being the calming voice, I think I've developed that very well. I think I can, and I want to try my hand at it, and I want to see just how well I can push myself to do it. Because when I walk in, I've told the chief, and assistant chief as well, if you look at my resume, I'm green as grass outside. But when it comes to dealing with situations and making sure everybody else knows what to do and is calm and collected, and to make sure we all flow together, people tend to gravitate towards me on that. I don't think I'm the best at it, but if they tell me constantly, you know what you're doing, you can do this, you got this, to me, well, they're not wrong. If I've got 100 people behind my back going, go do it, I want to go do it.
As long as you have the confidence on the radio, and I can hear that, or the officers can hear that, it'll be fine. So that's the piece of advice.
Can I piggyback off of you?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you give an example of a time when you had a difficult customer and how you handled it without telling us which employer you worked with?
I think difficult situation. wouldn't say truly like a difficult customer. It's kind of hard to say. What I consider difficult might be different than others. I can tell definitely difficult situations that were kind of not taken care of. Easiest thing, we kind of goes off it. Middle of the night, we had an oven blowout at our commissary that we were moving out of. So now we have no ovens, and I've got to cook for 1,500 people before 2 o'clock comes and deliver it. And I'm just going through it, and all we have are 3 hot boxes that are standing tall as they are, and most of them are warm. They have an oven setting where you can turn it. And I said, you know, what's wrong? He goes, inside's out. So inside the oven is gone. You might have a stove top. And I said, all right, let's use the bake function, get everything going. We have this many. And in a way, you have to, I called the schools at one point and said, listen, we're gonna switch to cold for today. I can make you sandwiches and deliver. I need to get these people hot because they don't take cold food at all. And in a weird way, that chaos was 3 schools got fed hot, 3 got fed cold, which they were okay with, but in a matter of 30 minutes, a whole plan was taken up of fill these with items they can jump off of. I want 8 pairs of hands over here making sandwiches and don't stop until every bit of meat and cheese is gone. You know, if someone's standing still going, what do? You're gonna go do this. You're gonna do this. Load the van. I need DRE in the van here. I need everybody not standing still for half a second. Give me 3 hours. I'll make sure everybody goes home in 8 hours and be all good. And that kind of stuff would happen regularly where things should be smooth. We all say the thing of, oh, we should be out here by 4. And I was like, well, we'll see. When it's 3:59, I'll tell you we're cool. And some days we're just like that. And I was at a lot of places in terms of difficult interactions. I've had a few. I mean, some people, you know, you do your best, and some people might not be wanting it that day, and you just kind of have to go, I'll do whatever I can to help you. I know you might not want it right now, but I'll go through it.
How about at Dairy Queen? You didn't have a difficult customer come in and upset about their order or anything, you had to navigate that whole situation?
For me personally, like one-on-one, I've never truly had a situation. Almost hit by a car through the building, that was a fun time. But it wasn't truly at me. As a one-on-one situation of me having a difficult customer come with me with their complaints, honestly, I could not remember.
Okay.
I've seen it from other employees I had, and you might have had to jump in and kind of see what was going on for a quick second. And they might say the same thing of, I gave him exactly what he wanted, he said it wasn't this. I said, well, let's try to refund this, diffuse it out, go take a walk for 2 minutes, you're okay, he's okay. I won't jump through the window, you know, it's a simple mistake. Or it's just something that you may not actually find a solution for, that maybe they want or you can give. In a way, I'm just trying to find a way to diffuse it so everybody goes home neutral.
Okay, if we have no other questions, I'd like to move to an executive session and kick you out so we can talk about you.
I will take a 5 minute.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're back in regular session. I will entertain a motion to move to hire Bruce Catania Jr. on effective August 15th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
Sounds like one.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor of moving to hire Bruce Catania Jr. as a dispatcher, effective on August 15th, 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Abstaining.
Okey-doke. In that case, bonjour.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Golf clap. Well done, Bruce. All right, congratulations.
All right. Is there any old business?
When is our next meeting?
Monday, September 11th, 2023, at the Board of Education Conference Room at 5 p.m.
Monday, September 11th. That's a meaningful day. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It is.
Do I have any motions to adjourn our meeting?
I'd like to move that we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
6:15 p.m.